The playoffs start Friday, and before we get into it, I want to go over and look at every team in the playoffs and talk about how they can win their matchup and make their way to the finals. There is a possibility for all of these teams, and I genuinely believe that any of these teams could make it there. They just have to have things fall the right way, and here is how these teams will do that. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss other Gaga Ball related videos. We're going to be having some awesome videos as well as the rest of the playoffs, and you don't want to miss it, as well as the Winter Series in a few weeks and the 2025 season that is upcoming and is going to be amazing. So don't miss out on those. These are going to be amazing videos. That being said, let's get straight into it and not waste any more time. So first of all, we are going to be talking about the Outlaws Spartans game, considering that one is going to be the one that comes out on Friday. And when you look at this matchup, it looks pretty bad for the Militia, but when you really go in and break it down, it's not quite as bad as it seems. But let's start with the Outlaws here, because their path to victory is going to be a lot clearer than it is for the Militia. So when we look at the Outlaws and take a look at their strengths and their weaknesses and take into account who's on their roster, really, they just have to continue to dominate like they've done all season. They've played dominant Gaga Ball. They've played very, very well, and they've been very successful overall. They have to continue this if they want to go past the Militia and make it to the finals. They're also going to have to play aggressive, continue to be the aggressor, and really lay on the pressure, especially against a team like the Militia. If you don't really put pressure on them, they're going to find ways to get to you, especially when Becton is no longer in the pit. Obviously, Becton is one of the most aggressive players in the game, but when he gets out, Riley, Tyler, and Shelby, that lineup, they're really going to have to figure out how to capitalize and how to be aggressive without the main aggressor in the pit. Also, another huge thing for them is going to be minimizing those mistakes, because the main ways that they lost their matches in the regular season was lots and lots of mistakes. If they can limit themselves, they are going to be very successful in this playoff. But it's not impossible for the Militia to win. The Militia are going to have to be very careful here. Their path to victory is a lot less clear than it is for the Outlaws, but it is far from impossible. When you take a look at the Outlaws team, they have made a lot of mistakes over the past 4 days of Gaga Ball, and if the Militia can capitalize off of this correctly, they are going to make it very challenging for the Outlaws to come back and win. Also, when we look at the Militia, they have a great team. You know, they have a very well-rounded roster. You got Ben, Emily, Adrian, and Cleo. And really, as long as they can play their cards right and put the right people in the pit at the right time, they should be able to keep this close. In terms of more specific strategies, they're really going to have to try and neutralize Becton. If they can get Becton to be less successful in the pit than he normally is, then that is going to give them a much clearer chance. Becton is one of the best players in this league, one of the most dangerous, and he is never counted out. You can never count him out. He's always in the game if he is still alive. And so if they can neutralize him, make sure that he's not making as much of an impact as he normally is, then that's going to force Tyler, Riley, and Shelby to really step up. And if they don't step up, the Militia are going to storm to victory. This kind of goes into the first tip, or I guess path to victory. But if they can force the Outlaws to slip up on defense, that is going to make this very challenging for them. If they continue to get out Tyler and Riley and Shelby, then that's going to force Becton to be incredibly aggressive, but also to play safe at the same time, and he's going to have a very tough time trying to balance out the aggressiveness, the defense, and really just making sure that he's getting people out while staying alive. Against a team like the Militia, that is challenging. Ben is an amazing offensive player. Emily takes nice shots, and Adrian takes so many shots, and a lot of them are really, really nice. And so Becton is going to have to watch out for that. If the defense on the Outlaws struggles too much, then that could lead to a clear Militia victory. Don't get me wrong, Outlaws Militia is a very interesting matchup, but I think Spartans Stallions might be even more interesting. Spartans, I mean, you have Aiden, who is just looking fantastic, a strong MVP candidate, a most clutch player candidate. You know, he's insane. An offensive player of the year candidate, like, he is just crazy. He really is that guy. He is a top 3 player in the league, unarguably. And if he can really find his stride and get going against the Stallions, it's going to be very hard to lose. When you look at the Stallions lineup, they've got Lucky, Ethan, Kayla, and, you know, if they can force Lucky to get overly aggressive and get himself out repeatedly, it's going to leave them in a lot of 3v2s, 2v2s, and, you know, that's going to be key for them. That's going to limit the Stallions' offensive potential, and the Spartans are already a good defensive team, so if they can stay in the pit for even longer and really maximize their chances of staying alive, that's going to benefit them very nicely. Another thing that they really have to watch out for is really just Ethan in general. He's a very sneaky and patient player. You know, he's not going to try and force shots. He's also very agile, and he gets around the pit very, very sneakily. So the Spartans are going to have to watch out for him. They're going to have to play patiently. They're not going to be able to try and force too many shots. They're not going to be able to put themselves in weird spots to eventually aim to get Ethan out. Like, that's just not going to work. So they're going to have to play patiently. They're going to have to play smart Gaga ball, or else Ethan's going to take advantage of that and, you know, just help the Stallions storm to victory. Spartans obviously the favorite here, but the Stallions do have a pretty clear path to victory here. If they can target Aiden early, get him out consistently, they could have this in the bag. Now, that's not to say that the rest of the Spartans will not be a challenge. However, Jordan, Ileana, Kai, you know, they're good players, but they're not on the level that Aiden is. And, I mean, not very many people are on the level that Aiden is, but the Stallions have Lucky and Ethan, 2 great players, 2 all-star players, I might add. And, you know, it's going to be tough to combat that when Aiden's not even in the pit. If Lucky and Ethan can really keep Aiden out of the pit as much as possible, they're going to have a very strong chance here, and that's really going to be their biggest key here. That being said, that's not going to be the only thing that keeps them in this match. If they also can limit those mistakes, you know, they're going to be in a lot better position. Aiden is not a player who makes a lot of mistakes. So if the Stallions can limit their mistakes, keep themselves in the pit, then they're going to maximize their chances tremendously. Because if you are not making mistakes, Aiden's not making mistakes, it's really going to come down to who can make the plays. And if the Stallions can also target Aiden early, really get him out of the pit, rattle him up, they're going to make a very strong run at the finals here. Maybe the most important aspect for the Stallions is going to be their defense. That's going to be the biggest X factor in this matchup. If the Stallions can play strong defense, they're going to be very successful. But if not, it is going to be a train wreck for them. You know, we've seen some series this season, some matches where they have had great defense and we have seen great success from them. We have also seen matches where they have had horrible defense and they've gotten out immediately. So they're going to have to really temper expectations. They're going to have to make sure that they're locked in and focused, and they're going to have to make sure that they are playing strong on defense. When I say that they play strong on defense, they can't sacrifice their offense either. That's the problem, you know. With Aiden in the pit, you can't ever count him out. You have to be at the top of your game, not only defensively, but also offensively, considering he's great at blocking shots, he's great at getting out of the way. So it's really going to come down to who shows up and who plays better, whether it be Aiden or Lucky and Ethan as a duo. If Aiden can continue to clutch up like he has throughout the entire season, the Spartans should have this pretty easily. But if the Stallions really show up ready to play, they're not going to go down without a fight. So I think this is definitely the much more interesting matchup of the two. But Outlaws Militia could absolutely get interesting too. None of these are guaranteed wins for any team. This is going to be exciting. Don't miss out on the playoffs. This has been the keys to victory for this week. I'm not going to do one for the finals, but I'm going to keep doing these in future seasons, and I'm extremely excited for you guys to see the playoffs because these are amazing matches. These are amazing games. The play continues to level up every single time, and honestly, I think that by the time we get to 2026, 2027, I mean, this league is going to be insane. There's going to be so much talent, and I can't wait to see what it looks like at that point. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We have 2024 playoffs here, and yeah, it's going to be absolute cinema, so you guys don't want to miss out. Make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below. Comment who you think is going to win each matchup. I will not be giving my prediction, as obviously we have already recorded the finals. But yeah, I mean, these are absolute cinema. These games are absolute cinema. I can grammar, I promise. These games are incredible, and you guys don't want to miss them. Trust me on that one. But thank you guys for watching. Seriously, you guys are awesome. I hope you guys have a great day. Commissioner out. Peace.